President of the Chamber of the Deputies, Raul Torre, distinguished members of the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, the distance between Israel and Paraguay is long. We had a lot of time during the flights. This is why my speech will be the longest. It's true honor to address both houses of Paraguay's esteemed National Congress. I come here from Jerusalem as the foreign minister of the State of Israel, the one and only Jewish state. We are at a historic moment in Israel-Paraguay relations. Israel and Paraguay are not simply friends. We are sister nations. Somos naciones hermanas. Paraguay is a beautiful country. You have a special culture. Personal warmth and humility are part of your national identity. Abraham, our forefather, was known for his generous hospitality and humility. You have clearly inherited these biblical traits. I feel Paraguay's warmth in the generous hospitality I received today in Asunción. I appreciate that. Paraguay experienced two difficult wars. In 1864 and in 1932. It lost much of its population and territory in these tragic wars. After regional and civil wars and brutal dictatorship, Paraguay built a booming modern democracy. History presented Paraguay with tough challenges. You proved that you are patriots that know how to sacrifice for your homeland when it is necessary. You know how to fight on multiple fronts. And now I understood during this visit, after I asked questions to my hosts, you probably have a secret formula, which is the women in Paraguay. We also faced a difficult war on 7 fronts over the past 2 years. We know that you understand us. The Jewish people have had a painful past too. After 2,000 long years of exile, murder, and persecution, we established the State of Israel. Paraguay voted for its establishment at the United Nations in 1947. Paraguay was among the first countries to recognize Israel. The Jewish people are a nation that remember. We will never forget your role in that historic vote. The partnership between Israel and Paraguay is long-term and strategic. I will not mention all the fields of cooperation, but today we signed a very important MOU on security cooperation. This is a clear expression of our strategic ties. Paraguay is developing its defense capabilities. Israel's defense industry has experience and capabilities that we want to share with our friends, with you. And we will. Our governments cooperate closely, but I believe that we can and must strengthen economic people-to-people ties. I arrived today to Asunción with a business delegation of senior government officials, representatives of private companies, and heads of major economic organizations. We want to deepen our economic cooperation in water technologies, advanced agriculture, cyber, renewable energy, and more. Paraguay's economy is strong and growing. We believe in it. We want to be a part of your success story. Paraguay's projected economic growth for 2025 stands at 5.3%. Our bilateral trade is also rapidly increasing. There are about 11,730 kilometers separating Asunción and Jerusalem. The distance is great. The journey here is long, as I said, but our hearts are close. Distinguished members, this is more than a just partnership of interests. It's a warm friendship. It's an alliance of believers, of Jews and Christians in an ancient tradition based on the Bible. At the heart of this tradition is Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the Jewish people. Jerusalem is a beating heart of the Jewish people. It is not just a city, it is a symbol. It is the fulfillment of more than a 3,000-year-old dream. Our ancestors prayed toward Jerusalem every day for 2,000 years in exile. It is our eternal capital, yet there are many who try to deny our connection to the history of Jerusalem. They try to challenge our sovereignty over Jerusalem. They deny our historical biblical roots to Jerusalem. How can you deny it? I mean, when you walk in Israel, when you tour the country, you don't need a map. If you take the Bible in your hands, you see that nothing changed. Jerusalem is Jerusalem. Hebron is Hebron. Shiloh is Shiloh. Everything stayed exactly like in the Holy Bible. The archaeological findings in the city of David show beyond any doubt that Jewish people are indigenous to this ancient land. We were in Jerusalem a long, long time ago, 3,000 years ago, in the time of King David, and before that. And we are in Jerusalem now, to stay forever. Only Israeli sovereignty over Jerusalem ensures the freedom of worship for all three religions, Jews, Christians, and Muslims. I want to share a story that I told previously to Senor Latorre. When I was a young cabinet secretary back in 1999, Ariel Sharon was then the foreign minister. He later became a prime minister. Minister Sharon told me about a visit to the Vatican where he meets the Pope, John Paul II. Immediately when he entered, the Pope asked him, "Foreign Minister, do you know the difference between Terra Santa and Terra Prometida?" And Mr. Sharon told me, I didn't know what the Pope meant, because Terra Santa is the land of Israel and Terra Prometida is also the land of Israel. So what's the difference? But the Pope didn't give the foreign minister time to answer. He immediately said, "Holy for all three religions, promised only to the Jews." This was the words of the Holy Pope. And he repeated, distinguished members, in the book of Psalms, King David writes, "If I forget you, Jerusalem, let my right hand be forgotten." We will never forget Jerusalem. We are grateful to former President Horacio Cartes for his decision in 2018 to move Paraguay's embassy to Jerusalem. We commend we commend President Peña for his decision to move Paraguay's embassy to Jerusalem, which he did in his last visit to Israel, December 2024. And therefore, two presidents of the state of Paraguay laid stones in Jerusalem's ancient walls. In his speech at Israel's Knesset in Jerusalem, President Peña said, "Paraguay knows where the truth stands. While the international community may be timid or ambiguous, Paraguay fully embraces the just cause of Israel. Not because it is easy, but because it is righteous." Distinguished member, Paraguay is righteous. And now there are 7 embassies in Jerusalem. We hope see many more nations follow in Paraguay's historic footsteps. We already know about few that will do that soon. Distinguished member, Israel is confronting a unique phenomenon, terror states. These are not simply terror organizations. When terror organizations gain control over a territory and population, they become terror states. They use the full resources of a country to support their jihadistic vision. They weaponize the suffering of their own people. International aid flows into this area. The terror state take over the aid to build weapons and military infrastructure. When they need more terrorists, they use the aid to pressure families. They take over education system to radicalize a new generation of jihadists. Terror states use ordinary government activities such as taxes and fuel sales for terrorism. They drain their population financially to pay for their terror operations. Serving as a terrorist in the army of terror is becoming the most profitable job in terror states. To be a terrorist today, to be a Hezbollah terrorist in Lebanon today is much more beneficial than being a soldier in the army of Lebanon. Serving a terrorist in the army of terror is becoming the most profitable job in terror states. Terror organizations use small arms and suicide bombs. Terror states use ballistic missiles, tunnel networks, and huge armies. Their military capabilities look like those of real states. The difference between a terror organization and a terror state is similar to the difference between neo-Nazis and Nazi regime in Germany. Neo-Nazi exists today, but they do not control territory and population. The Nazi regime did, and that allowed it to carry out terrible crime. Terror states are extremely difficult to uproot when they take hold. They embed themselves deeply into civilian life. We saw this on full display when America and Western Alliance fought the terror state of ISIS. ISIS controlled a vast territory and population. It tried to form an Islamist caliphate. It took great efforts and a heavy price to fight the ISIS terror state. Distinguished members, Israel now faces 3 terror states in the Middle East: Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. Hezbollah built its terror state after Israel withdrew from South Lebanon in 2000, in the year of 2000. We fully withdrew from there. In Gaza, Hamas overthrew the Palestinian Authority and took control after we fully withdrew unilaterally on 2005. These are the facts. Hamas built thousands of kilometers of underground terror tunnels in Gaza. They didn't give these tunnels for the citizens to have a shelter. They escape. The terrorists escape to the tunnels and let the citizens stay above. They turned Gaza into a terror kingdom. It took Gaza's resources and aid from international organizations and used them for terror. It used it to build a terror state above and below the ground. It includes a big arsenal of rockets and drones to fire at Israel. In Yemen, the Houthis built a powerful army with a massive arsenal. They did so after the world held back the Saudi-led coalition in 2018. This also happened with Iranian instruction, training, and financing. Today, terror states do not just focus on areas they control. They threaten the region and even the world. The Houthi terror state is carrying out modern piracy in the Red Sea. It terrorized the international shipping lanes on the Red Sea. It takes sailors hostages and undermines the freedom of navigation. Terror states cooperate between themselves as a terror network. After Hamas committed the October 7 massacre, Hezbollah and the Houthis began attacking Israel too. But this cooperation goes far beyond the Middle East. It expands to Africa, Latin America, and beyond. Along the Horn of Africa, we see the Houthi threat spreading. The Houthis are working closely with Al-Shabaab in Somalia. Al-Shabaab is considered the most well-funded and dangerous branch of Al-Qaeda. In South America, criminals are building narco-terror alliances with the Middle East terror state. The nexus of this network is Venezuela. Venezuela destabilized the region by driving a refugee crisis. It serves as a base for Hezbollah terror operatives. It hosts an Iranian weapons production facility. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro had said openly that Venezuela is part of the axis of resistance. He said that this axis exists in Africa, Asia, the Middle East, Latin America, and the Caribbean. When he said this, we should believe him. The terror states in Gaza, Lebanon, and Yemen have been weakened, but they have not yet been dismantled. The world is a better place today without Hezbollah Chief of Staff Ali Tabtabai. The head of the terror army was a mass murderer. He had American and Israeli blood on his hands. He was directing the efforts of rebuild Hezbollah terror army. He was eliminated yesterday. IDF operations against Hezbollah are not a violation of Lebanon's sovereignty. The very existence of the Hezbollah terror state as the strongest armed force in Lebanon is the violation of Lebanon's sovereignty. As long as Hezbollah is not disarmed, Lebanon will remain de facto under Iranian occupation. Over the past year, since the ceasefire, Hezbollah has begun working to restore its strength and to rearm after the heavy blows it suffered from Israel in 2024. As long as Hezbollah is the strongest military force in Lebanon, Israel has no security and Lebanon has no future. We would be very glad to see the Lebanese government implement its own decision and dismantle Hezbollah arsenal. But the truth is that this is happening in a very minor way. In fact, Hezbollah is rearming more than it is disarming. Iran continues to support these efforts. It's helping its terror states, proxies, expand their reach far beyond the Middle East. Our fight against this network is shared. It demands that we work together for the sake of freedom. Dealing with network of terror states requires adopting our geopolitical thinking. Terror states are rewriting international borders. The whole concept of international borders has changed in fact. Western democracies must join forces in combating this dangerous phenomenon. Against the axis of terror, the alliance of liberty must rise. The West can learn from Israel's experience fighting terror states in the Middle East. Paraguay has taken important steps in this direction. We commend Paraguay's moral decision to expand its terror organization designation to include the so-called political wings of Hamas and Hezbollah. Paraguay also designated Iran's Revolutionary Guards as a terror organization. This is yet another example of the moral dimension in Paraguay's foreign policy. We call on other countries to follow suit. Paraguay and Israel stand together in the fight for freedom. The future belongs to the alliance of liberty. Distinguished members, President Peña is one of the most impressive leaders in Latin America and on international stage. He was the only Latin American leader to attend President Trump's summit in Sharm el-Sheikh. Under his leadership, Paraguay has stood firmly by Israel on the international stage. Paraguay had issued 65 declarations of support for Israel since October 7. 65, this is incredible. We will not forget it. I want to thank you, the esteemed members of this esteemed house, for your tremendous support for Israel. Thank you for your moral clarity. We will continue standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder. I know that you will and we will accomplish more together. This is truly a historic time for the relationship between our nations. Viva Paraguay! Viva Israel! Siempre estaremos con ustedes, con el pueblo de Paraguay. We will always stand with you, with the people of Paraguay. Muchas gracias.
Antes de dar por finalizada el motivo de esta reunión, agradezco en nombre del Congreso de la Nación la presencia del ilustre visitante y de todos los presentes. Muchas gracias.